Magandang hapon po mga Katribu and welcome sa Kalingang Katribu. Christmas time, minsan separated po tayo sa ating mga minamahal sa buhay. So, if you cannot fly there, meet them there. Nakaka-intriga naman to. Let's welcome our special guest today, Jaime Licauco. Hi, Jim.
Hi, okay. Yeah,
I said, if you cannot fly there, meet them there.
Yeah. Okay, shoot.
Now, how do we meet them there? How do we fly across so many oceans, all these distances, to see our loved ones? Sabi daw nila, merong remote viewing. Jimmy, what is remote viewing?
Cory, let me ask you, have you heard of this term before?
Yes, from you.
No, aside from me.
From you only.
Yeah, okay. All right. The easiest definition of remote viewing is the maybe ability or the process of projecting your consciousness to a far place and describing that place although you have never been there before. That remote viewing. It's technically called traveling clairvoyance. That's the technical term for it. So that's what remote viewing is. No, it's a trained activity. It's a trained psychic ability, which was discovered or developed at the Stanford Research Institute in Menlo Park, California, in the 1970s, by two physicists, Russell Targ and Harold Pathoff. Now, this remote viewing, there was no such thing as remote viewing before, or the term did not exist. It was the Stanford Research Institute researchers who developed this particular, or who found, discovered that there is such a thing as an ability to project your consciousness to another place, describe it accurately without having been there. Now, these two physicists didn't know or they knew nothing about psychic phenomena. They were physicists, but they were commissioned by the U.S. government to conduct a research. This is what happened kasi, Cory, that was during the Cold War. No?
So
there was a lot of
espionage.
during kasama yung Cold War dito, sa storya na ito, no? And there were rumors coming out of Russia that the Russians have developed psychics who can project their mind to pinpoint military installations and nuclear warheads, no? So these were just rumors. So the U.S. government hindi pinansin yan, no? Then two journalists named what's her name now? Lynn Schroeder, no, Sheila Ostrander, and Lynn Schroeder went to Russia, stayed there for some months, collected data and documents, and interviewed people there, the psychics and all that, and the research organizations. They're called psychotronics research. And they found out that it is true that the Russians were taking psychic studies very seriously, and that they were ahead of the United States by 50 years, no? Kanilang advanced.
That's
they brought this back to the United States, wrote the book, Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain. Doon namulat ang mata ng mga intelligence departments of the U.S., CIA, FBI, DOD, the Department of Defense, and several other agencies. No? Wondered, totoo ba ito? So to find out, they commissioned a very prestigious research organization called the Stanford Research Institute, now called SRI International, in Menlo Park, California, to study this, and they gave it a name called Stargate Project. It's very confidential that only the top echelons in the U.S. government knew what was happening. It was not known to the lower levels, no. And the study was done in secret. Nobody admitted there was funding being done, made by these four organizations, no? DOD, CIA, FBI, and I think even NASA at one time contributed, no, to the funding. So that was very secret. And Russell Targ and Harold Pathoff didn't know what to do at first because they didn't know anything about it. So they hired psychics, no, and to help them see whether it's possible for the mind to be transferred to another place, to be projected and described. And they hired Ingo Swan, one of the most fantastic psychics I believe. He's dead now. He's an artist, and they tested him, no, well, whether that's possible. One of the tests they gave Ingo Swan the coordinates. Just the coordinates. These are numbers. And then they asked him, "What is there?" And Ingo Swan said, "There is an installation of so and so. There's a building," and he describes in detail what's there. Chinek na yun nila. What Ingo Swan said exactly tallied with what is there. But he was given only the coordinates. So they continued this kind of studies, no, because they were encouraged. How could Ingo Swan know this when he has not been there?
I have a question, Jim. I have a question. They were given coordinates. Well, what if they're not experts in the field? They don't know how to read coordinates. But how did their mind or their brain process that?
That's what we are going to talk about. It's a natural ability of the human brain, or the human mind, not the brain. And a lot of people actually can do this. In fact, I teach this, no? I teach remote viewing in my class, in my ESP, and in about 2 hours, 90% are able to do it. Up to 100% of the class are able to do it, to project their mind to another place.
Alam nyo, mga katribo, I took his class in remote viewing. Di ba, Jim?
Yeah. And you saw that a lot of people can do it, no? To be able to describe a place they have never been to, no? And showing that there is this thing is possible. But I modified the experimental protocol of Russell Targ and Harold Pathoff kasi complicated sila eh. What they did there at the Stanford Research Institute, there is somebody left at Stanford Research, another person, B, who will go anywhere he wants to without telling anybody where he's going. Then he stays for 30 minutes in that place. And then he writes down everything that he's seeing there. In the meantime, A, who is in Stanford Research Institute, will also write down what B is seeing or looking at, no, or what he is, that describe the place he is. Then he comes back, they compare notes, no, it is all written down, no, so that there will be no cheating or there will be no guessing. They compare the statements of A and B, and they match up to 90%, sometimes 100% accurate. So these physicists are in a dilemma. This is not possible, no? Logically, rationally, it's not possible, but they're seeing it. You know, this project lasted for 20 years, from 1970 to 1990. But there was just recently, I learned that it went on for 5 more years without anybody knowing it. So it was dissolved only in 1995. The U.S. Congress finally dissolved it. And Russell Targ went on to reveal, no, this. And so he goes on to YouTube describing what happened to the SRI experiments. It's unbelievable what happened. And Cory, I met Russell Targ personally. I was with him in Menlo Park, California, and I had dinner with him. We talked for about 2 hours in California in maybe mid-1980s. No? I had a very long discussion with Dr. Targ on remote viewing. And I told him, you know, I modified your protocol. In your particular case, I don't ask anybody to go out and then to describe where he is. No? I just ask in class to check a partner they've never been to, and then project their mind to the house of the partner. Right. Because the partner will know how his house look like. So there's feedback. Because feedback is very important in remote viewing. And then Russell Targ said, and how long do you prepare the students? Oh, I said about an hour. And what is the result of your experiments? I thought 90% or more. Natawa siya. Sabi, natawa si Russell. Sabi, you know, Jimmy, we know two secrets. Sabi ko, what's that? Well, people think that it is difficult to train psychics. It takes a long time. We know it's not true. Number 2, people think that it is only a few people can do it, and we know it is not true. So we have had a big laugh, no, at that, no, and it was very interesting because I am talking to the person who led the experiment for 20 years at Stanford Research Institute, Cory. I'm not talking nonsense here. I'm not talking out of the blue. I talked to the people who, well, not people, the person who actually started this particular project, no, Russell Targ.
Okay.
And then,
Jim, bakit, at paano naisip ng mga Russians, at after that, the Americans, how did they even imagine that the mind has the power to transcend time and space and actually see and travel?
Okay, because there were people in Russia. There were people in Russia who were able to do it. You see? So they know. there are people who are able to do it. And even this bending of in spoons or moving objects with our mind, Nelia Mikhailova was tested by top scientists in Russia, and they were able to prove that Mikhailova can really move objects with her mind, no, under controlled conditions. So they have actual specimens or examples in Russia that this can be done. You see? So, but in the US, they don't know about it. They were completely ignorant of this thing. So they had to start from scratch.
Okay. How is it possible, Jim, na yung technique na ito na remote viewing or sinabi nyo, clairvoyance,
Traveling clairvoyance.
Clairvoyance. How is it possible that you were able to get that technique? Is this a secret thing, a confidential technique, or they shared it with the people?
Well, who the Russians or
the Americans? When you talk,
they didn't know. They didn't know anything. That's why they had to start from scratch to find out whether it's true, what the rumors are saying, and they found out there is basis for it.
Okay, so paano nyo nakuha yung technique na yun?
Through experiments. They experimented on this, for example, into the initial stages. They asked Ingos one. He was placed seated on a chair. On top of him, on top of his head, there is an envelope with a drawing, of something. From where Ingos one is sitting, he cannot see what is there, because even if he looks up, he will not see what's there. Then he is asked, "What can you see?" "I can see a drawing of what?" Let's say an airplane. It's an airplane, and it's an airplane. You know, then they tested him several times, no, and he is able to guess, no, to see what's there. Then one time, they placed an envelope in another building in SRI. Then they asked English one, where is that envelope?" He concentrated and said, "This is on building B on such in the ceiling." So, and then they said, "What is in the envelope? Can you read it?" "Yes." And he read what is inside that envelope. Now this is experimental, no? It's there. They saw this. Ingos one. It's all on record. So you cannot say this Kobola or their controlled experiments were done on this. That's why of all the psychic powers that have been discovered or developed, this is the most highly scientifically validated of all. 20 years they have been studying this, and then I found out later on it's not new. But this later on.
Not new. Okay. Before you answer why not new, the technique itself, is that something available to everyone? Is that public knowledge? Yes.
Yes. It's something that we can, and I can give you examples. No, you want an example now?
Yeah. But before
somebody who did it spontaneously without knowing it, not knowing anything at all. And this is Rosana Roses Osang herself, no? And I gave a picture of Osang, no? That you can use. You can flash her picture, no? This happened many more than 10 years ago. No, that's Osang, no? And in our office, she used to come to my office before, because of not because of me, but because of a fortune teller that she used to consult there. No? Anyway, yeah, that's Rosana Roses, myself, and Roy Alvarez. No, you know, Roy. Yeah, he died already, unfortunately. Anyway, Osang, more than 10 years ago, told me a story of something which happened to her, which she could not understand. Okay, this is the story. So I met a man, Filipino, in the U.S. So they became very close. No, then he came back to the Philippines. One time, he was on they were talking on the telephone, and Osang was in the Philippines. The other party is in America. And Osang, hey, wait a minute. How come I can see you? What do you mean you can see me? Sabi nung lalaki, no? I can see what you are, what you're doing. Or can you describe? Oh, can you describe where I am and what I'm doing? Yeah, you're wearing a sando, no, a camiseta, no? You're seated on top of of the bed. You're holding a cigarette on your left hand and the telephone on your right hand, and there is a cigarette packed on the bed, no? Oh, a carton, cigarette. She said, "Where are you? Where are you?" Sabi nitong guy, because she described exactly what he was wearing, even the cigarette, and where he was holding the cigarette. So, Osang was confused. She consulted me. Said, how was I able to do that? So then I said, okay, come over and attend my seminar on ESP, and we'll show you how it's done. But deliberately. In your case, it happens spontaneously, but it can be done. If you know the technique, it can be done deliberately.
Okay,
so
okay.
No.
Okay, Jim, hold on. Hold on just right here. Kasi po mga katribo, babalik po kami. Huwag po kayong aalis.
Boto mo to, Halalan 2022, The Daily Tribune Special Coverage.
Chris masaya, pagsama-sama.
Bong, yung naumpisahan ko, tapusin mo. Mga bagong highway, tulay, tren, dapat ma-enjoy na kaagad ng mga tao yan. Kailangan lahat bakunado at laging may ayuda pag kailangan. Huwag dapat makabalik ang mga drug lords para ligtas ang pamilya. Yung ginawa mong malasakit centers, maganda yan. Padamihin mo pa. Magkasama tayo. Tayo ang nagsimula, tuloy-tuloy lang, Bong.
Mapalutong bahay man o sumptuous meal for special occasions, sagot na kayo ng tropang Kalanpag. Dahil atid sa inyo ng Daily Tribune ang fun and exciting cooking show na Kalanpag, manood at matuto kung paano lutuin ang mga favorite nyong recipes. Sabayan pa ng fun and inspiring na kwentuhan sa kusina. I-upgrade na rin natin ang mga nakasanayang traditional dish ng pamilya. Plus, healthy tipid tips na ibabahagi ng tropang Kalanpag. Matuto, mabusog at good vibes dito lang sa Kalanpag tuwing Lunes, 10:30 AM sa Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now on YouTube. Be updated sa news and happenings Katribu. Hatid ng Daily Tribune sa inyo ang mga balitang napapanahon sa loob at labas ng bansa. Kami na ang bahala sa paghahatid sa inyo ng mga latest and reliable news. We got you covered sa programang Tribune News on Q. Mapapanood mula umaga hanggang gabi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes sa Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now on YouTube.
Boto mo to, Halalan 2022, The Daily Tribune Special Coverage.
Chris masaya, pagsama-sama.
Welcome back mga katribo at ating special guest ay si Jaime Licauco. Ang topic po natin napakaganda. No need to buy a ticket to visit your loved ones sa Amerika. At para sa mga OFWs na di na kailangan bumalik, pwede nang mag-remote viewing. Para sa
Yes.
mga hindi pwedeng bumalik o hindi makakabalik, meron ng remote viewing. Jimmy, answer your own question. Ayan. Let's continue.
What's the question?
Oh, diba? You said that it is possible to do the travel, but that it's a technique that's open to everyone, but it's nothing new.
Yes.
It's
Sure.
something old.
Well, this is not known even to Russell Targ and Harold Prathoff. They thought that they had developed it in the 20th century. But I found out, in fact, only recently, that this particular ability is known since the biblical times. And I will give you later on specific examples, 3 examples. One in the biblical time, the Bible, with the prophet Elisha.
Yeah.
And then
Elijah.
no, Elisha, not Elijah. Elisha. That's the Book of Kings, no? Book 2. Elisha,
Okay.
iba yung si Elijah is different. No?
Okay.
Elisha is one of the prophets. He has a lot of experiences. No? And then in the next one example is King Croesus of Lydia, now Turkey, no? Who tested several oracles and soothsayers. That's he lived on 550 BC, no? And then the latest is an example from 18th century, Emanuel Swedenborg from Sweden, who did a remote viewing, and everybody was surprised. Even Carl Jung, the great psychologist, and Immanuel Kant knew about this incident. And Carl Jung wrote, I have the book where I read this. No?
What does it say?
In
Can I see
the Bible,
book?
in the Bible, I found out that this has been known since the biblical times. Now, I don't think that Russell Targ and Harold Prathoff knew about this because they probably thought that it's a new thing. I found out hindi. That everybody has the ability, no? And I teach this now on online. I have a seminar on remote viewing online, no? So anybody, anywhere in the world can attend this, no? If they
Kailan ang
want to
classes?
learn this technique.
Kailan ang classes?
We will announce it later, no? Si Dan Daniel, I hope we'll not forget it to announce it before we end. And how to enroll.
Okay, very good. Pero kasi alam po ninyo mga katribo, graduate po ako ng klase ni Jimmy for remote viewing na nakakagulat kasi yung remote viewing that you taught me, Jimmy, I traveled naman in time, not in the present.
Yes,
I went to the future. Meron akong nakitang event. Meron akong nakitang event, di ba? Tapos winarning ko ang kaibigan ko na nasa New York. Hoy, mag-ingat ka, baka maaksidente ka. Kasi nakita ko maaksidente siya, masasaktan siya.
wow.
Sabi ko, mag-ingat ka. Your technique brought me to the future.
Yes, okay.
Posible pala yun.
Okay, that's one of the findings that we discovered during the exercises, because I've been doing this for many years, and we have a lot of experience and things that I didn't know before. To the actual use of this or application, we discovered you can see the future, you can see the past, and you can see the present in remote viewing. We have very good examples of this, of seeing the past and then the future.
Yan
Also.
ang nangyari sa akin. So ang ginawa ko, sinabihan ko yung kaibigan ko, Jim, you remember? Sinabi ko sa kanya, mag-ingat ka, isuot mo yung helmet mo, kasi nung nakita kita, ngayon din, nakita kita, ngayon lamang, wala kang helmet, masasaktan ka. So sabi niya, okay, I'll keep it in mind. In fact, sabi niya, I will, kasi he's an athlete. I have an event, I have a competition the following Sunday. So I was sent 1 week in advance to the future. Tapos sinabi ko sa kanya, during your sports event, merong magkakaroon kayo ng alitan sa mga rival team nyo at talagang hahampasin ka at wala kang helmet, masasaktan ka. Make sure you wear your helmet. Sure enough, Jimmy, tinuloy niya yung kanyang sports competition. But he made sure na yung helmet na double tali.
Oo.
Alam mo, Jim, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, tumawag siya sa akin. Where did you get that information? I am just so pale with the truth that has happened. Your prediction happened on the field. Talagang nagalit yung rival team. Hinampasan ako ng isang parang metal bar. At buti secure ang kanyang helmet. Talagang tinamaan siya sa ulo.
Wow. Yeah, I think I remember you telling me
Remember?
that a long time ago. Yeah, I remember. You told me that. Yeah.
So, that was pretty shocking.
Uh-huh.
Ulat siya. How did you
Yes.
know? But thank you for saving my life.
Of
O
course.
diba? Nakakatulong din ng remote viewing, Jimmy.
Oh, there are so many applications that we discovered, no, for remote viewing. There's so many. It's an ability that really I wish that people will take seriously.
So sabi daw nila, you cannot interfere with the future. Pero nung ginawa ko yung natutunan ako ng technique na yon dahil sa seminar mo, I was able to prevent the future from
Yes.
happening. Altering it.
That's true.
Altering it. Was that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, how can it be bad?
Diba? You saved a life.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So all these things, all these psychic abilities, merong practical value ito eh. Kanya lang, science, the modern science, does not really study this. No? They have ignored this for so many years. Fortunately, there are some scientists now who are studying this seriously. You know, one is at the Institute of Noetic Sciences in Sausalito, California, has been studying these things. This was a research organization founded by Edgar Mitchell. Edgar Mitchell is the sixth man on the moon. He's an astronaut who was the sixth man on the moon, who was a PhD in science. But then he wanted to study things that are ignored by science. So when he came back to Earth, he established this institute. It's still existing right now. The Institute for Noetic, studying things that are not studied by. In fact, I was invited once
Anong
to
pangalan
speak
ng
about it.
institute, Jimmy?
Institute of Noetic. Noetic means knowledge. Noetic.
Noetic.
Noetic. It's from the Greek word, knowledge. Okay.
Interesting, Jimmy. Okay. Ilang oras yung klase nyo? Kasi this show's only 30 minutes, pero gusto ko lang i-share sa ating mga katribo na pwede tayong magkaroon ng maghanap ng paraan kung hindi po tayo makabili ng airline ticket dahil sa mga COVID restrictions ngayon, you can still be in touch with your loved ones through remote viewing. When are your classes, Jimmy? At ilang oras yun? And how do people enroll?
We'll talk about it. Well, they have to call or to email me at jaimetlicauco@yahoo.com. Yung small letters, no, jaimetlicauco@yahoo.com.
Okay,
Easy
can
to
we put that
remember.
on the screen? jaimetlicauco@yahoo.com. So they should email you to inquire about enrolling in your next remote viewing seminar.
And this is done on Sundays, so people have time. And what I found out, I have enrollees from Saudi Arabia, from Denver, California, from Australia, Singapore, Japan, and other countries. These are Filipinos, no, that are abroad, who have always wanted to attend my seminar when they were in the Philippines, but they could not. Now it's online, so they can attend now. No?
Yeah, Jimmy. So sinabi nyo, Jim, you have a 95% batting average, no?
Yes, 90 to 80, 85 to 90 to 100% actually.
What happened to the 10%? Bakit hindi sila makakonect?
Oh well, a psychic ability is really like that. No? You cannot predict. It takes a certain condition for it to manifest. And in this class, we will tell you exactly what to do. If you follow the instruction, it's very easy. Even a child can do this. No?
Mhm.
And if you follow the instructions, you can do this.
Okay, Jim,
95%.
ilang oras bago makapag-graduate sa webinar nyo?
Oh, this
on
only
remote?
2 hours.
Just 2 hours.
Yes.
And you can already do remote viewing.
Yes, they can do it.
Ano kaya, Jim, kung one day makakapag-develop ka rin ng technique na hindi lamang sila makakita, kundi pwede nilang kausapin.
That's different. It's
Diba?
a different skill. No, that's different skill. It's more like channeling or
Yan, pwede
mediumship.
magbulong sa tenga.
And usually the spirit of the dead. But it has happened to me. I have five occasions. Spirits talk to me, and I was able to relay the message.
So iba
Persons.
naman yun, pag-channeling.
Pero iba, that's another story.
Another topic naman yan, channeling. Napaka-challenging din ang channeling at exotic.
It's unbelievable. I channeled my brother-in-law, President Marcos, not Bongbong, but the father, gave a message. Yung ganun ba? So, ang dami kong experiences dito sa field na ito.
Ang lalim talaga at ang lawak ng kaalaman ni Jimmy Licauco. Pero mga katribo, this show is only 30 minutes. But let me ask Jimmy one question. Jim, yung remote viewing, kapag nakapag-graduate na yung mga attendees nyo, mga estudyante nyo, do they always come back with happy stories?
Unfortunately, only a few give me feedback. But a lot of them really experience it afterwards, no? Because some people even write me letters of what happened because they were able to apply it, no? But most people don't. Unlike in the United States or in Western countries, I get a lot of feedback from people who are...
Kasi maganda sana, you can put that in your book, your next book. You know, success stories with your students. Napakaganda yon, Jim. I will give you my story.
Yes, yeah, sure. Maybe that's one idea.
Alam po ninyo, si Jimmy at ako ay matalik na kaibigan. Ilang taon na. Okay? Ilang past lives na po yan.
Past lives. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Talking to Jimmy, if I wish this show could be for 3 to 4 hours, pero wala na po tayong oras. But if you want to email him, please email him now and ask about his other classes. Jim, apart from remote viewing, ano pa yung mga iba't ibang klase nyo? Online
Well,
classes?
the most popular is soulmates, karma, and reincarnation. It's always very popular.
Yes.
And there is a portion there where I guide them to a meditation to know their past lives. And also how to invoke a soulmate and how to recognize whether you have met your soulmate or not. May mga characteristics yan, no? That you can find out whether siya nga ba o hindi. And I think I'm the only one who has these characteristics and developed that myself.
A whole new kind of becoming a matchmaker kasi on the
Yes.
level ka na.
Yeah,
Diba?
without my being there.
Tapos meron
And,
ka stories din.
Another very practical course I have is 1.5 hours only, which is on what's this? Self-healing through visualization, how to use imagery to heal yourself. And we have actually case studies of people who did this self-healing and recovered. No? Arthritis, headaches, migraine, myoma, and many others. No? Sinusitis have been cured using this technique, using just the mind.
Oo nga eh. So Jim, maybe next feature or next interview will be self-healing. Kasi syempre,
Okay.
we talk about wellness here.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay.
So Jimmy, hindi ko kailangan mag-remote viewing sa iyo kasi bibisitahin kita Christmas. Face to face.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cory.
Right, Jimmy?
Always,
So, parting words para sa ating mga katribo? Anong parting words nyo?
well, as I always say, Cory, this thing about psychic powers is natural from another. I don't put it into the students. They have it already. All I do is give them the technique. how to do it, but they have it. In fact, better than me. No, most of my students do it better in remote viewing and the telepathy and all that. I also have I also have a seminar on telepathy, how to communicate mind to mind, no? How to transmit and receive thoughts telepathically. I have a seminar on that, which is only, I think, 1.5 hours also. So I have about four different seminars, and people can call up my number, office. My cell number there is 0998 988 6292 or 8810 7245. I hope they can get it. No?
Okay. Para sa mga nag-iisip ngayon na sa tingin nila o nagdadalawang isip kasi nagdududa sila, wala silang abilidad, what is your message for them?
Everybody has it. It's part of the mental faculty. There is certain gland in the brain which is assumed, and there's no proof for this, but it is believed to be responsible for psychic powers, is the pineal gland, which is actually in the middle of the brain, of this cerebrum. No? It's in the middle, and that gland is reputed to be the center of psychic powers. So everybody has it. It's just how to tackle that thing to make it manifest. Yeah.
Kayo ang may susi.
Unlock it.
Kayo
Yes.
ang may susi.
And there are techniques to do that, no? So, and we have for so many years. I have researched on this. You know, I have read about 3,500 books, Cory, on this. No? So that's why I can answer your question. Because kahit nasan mo ko dalhin, I have an answer because I have read so much, and I have met the people. Of course, I met Gasparetto, and you met him also. We were together in Argentina and Buenos Aires. We saw this mediumistic painter. I met Uri Geller in Düsseldorf in Germany. I met the Pope in 1986 at the Vatican. No? So it's quite an interesting life for me. No, to have met these really interesting people in the world. See, and that's why when I talk, I really talk not hearsay. No, the topic we have in mind, for example, remote viewing. I talked to Russell Targ. I had dinner with him, and I had long discussion with him on how they developed this technique. No, so I got it from the horse's mouth. No? And nobody else, I think, in the Philippines can say that. No, that they have actually met the people who developed this particular psychic ability. So yun ang advantage ko, no, some people, because I really studied it, unlike others who are criticizing, skeptical, but they never studied it. You know, Cory, that's one of the things, no. People criticize this as nonsense, but if they ask them, have you studied it? And they say, no. You know, there is somebody who was writing a health column in the newspaper, no, who was criticizing me and saying that I am glamorizing quacks because I write about the faith healers of the Philippines. And this guy was criticizing psychic surgery and said it's nonsense and all that. So I asked him, have you ever seen or have undergone psychic surgery? And he said, no, I don't have to. I know it's not true. So I have seen Superman, I have seen Batman, and I know they exist, but they are not true. So this is a guy who was criticizing, but have never seen one himself. No? I mean, most critics are like James Randi, another one, no, the magician who was criticizing psychic surgery, and he did not really study this. Well, fortunately, God already stopped him from molesting the psychics last October permanently. He died. last year in October. So he was hounding Uri Geller for several years, saying that Uri Geller is a fake and tried to show that it's only trickery. I know Uri Geller, but he demonstrated his powers before thousands of people in Düsseldorf. And these are some of the scientists are there in Germany when he demonstrated. He was able to germinate radish seeds in his palm in 2 minutes. Germinate. And he was not moving his hand. If it is trickery, he would be, in sleight of hand, no?
Yeah.
He was steady from beginning to end. He did not move his hand. And makita mo, one of the 10 seeds in his mouth, nag-germinate to about 1 or 2 inches. 1 to 2 inches.
Amazing.
It's all there. No? I saw it. I was there
Lahat.
in the audience. Yeah.
So, ko sanang magpasalamat
So,
kay Licauco
That's it,
dahil
Cory. People who criticize, they should study. They should study this and before criticizing and see whether there's really proof or not. That's my
correct.
last words.
Tama naman yun. Ang mensahe ni Jaime Licauco po,
Okay.
keep an open mind. Keep
So,
an open
I'd like to
mind.
thank you for inviting me, Cory.
Thank you, Jimmy. Your life could change if you open your mind and your heart today. And let Jimmy show you the key to expanding our inner abilities. Tama, Jimmy? Thank
Yes,
you so
thank you.
much, Jimmy Licauco.
Yes, thank you very
Very
much,
soon.
Cory.
Yan po mga katribo ang ating remote viewing.
Okay.
Totoo po yun.
Bye-bye.
This is scientific.
Thank
And
you.
this has been proven already. So, we'll see you again next week for another episode of Kalingang Katribo. In the meantime, mga katribo, keep safe. God bless you po. Ito po si Cory Quirino.